So, hope you all had a good morning. Hope you had a good lunch. Somebody lost a notebook which has been handed in at the front desk. It's brown, doesn't have a name on it. So if it's yours and you're missing it, front desk should be able to help you. We're doing a panel on NOGs, which was possibly going to be African NOGs and European world NOGs, but finding other people than me from European or world NOGs didn't happen. So we're just going to be talking about African NOGs. So I'd like to introduce the panel, and in no particular order, just the order that they're sitting in. Isabel, Odida, who co-founded UGNOG in Uganda. Would you like to wave or? Yeah, give her a big round. Cedrick Mbeyet from Senegal, who founded the NOG there. He's also works at AfPIF, so you may have seen him talking other stuff recently. Sara Alamin, co-founder of Sudan NOG, one of the longest serving NOGs, I think, in the region. Yeah. She does a lot of training with PCH and outreach with them. Edrich de Langa, a wonderful man who's representing ZANOG, which also is regional NOGs, KZN NOG. So welcome, Edrich. And finally, Portia Rabonda, who chairs the SAFNOG meetings and sits on the management committee and such, and is one of my co-workers at Flexoptix. So the format is everyone's going to do a quick 3 to 5 minutes about their NOG, what they do, how they operate, so we can get a feel for who they are. And then we'll go on to some more in-depth discussion. So, Portia. No, it's live if it's red.
Good afternoon, and excuse me. My name is Portia Rabonda. I'm representing SAFNOG. SAFNOG is the Southern Africa Network Operators Group. So why SAFNOG? It was established in 2014. During that time, the only NOG that was happening really was AfNOG. And because it was only happening once a year, we thought it was necessary to keep the engagement live and happening in between the annual AfNOG meetings that were taking place then. It is for the sub-region, for SADC region, so it's not in country. We cover the whole region. So we've had meetings, for instance, with East Africa NOG, Tanzania NOG as well. We've had meetings in different countries as well, like Eswatini, in Tanzania as well. So our focus is to help enhance and develop the in-country NOGs so that the discussions that are necessary within each country can be addressed. Those issues can only be addressed if we know what the issues are. And as a regional NOG, we focus on making sure that the discussions that are necessary or applicable to each country can be addressed. We have our next meeting this year, actually next week. We'll be running SAFNOG 7. We've had other meetings online during the lockdown, during the pandemic. And so we are looking forward to meeting in person once again. And we hope to see all of you there as well. Thank you.
Edrich.
So in 2017, we founded ZANOG. Well, actually, we started with KZN, which was one of the provinces in South Africa, because we had this odd problem in our region where we had a lot of our expertise and our talent all migrating up to Johannesburg. So we ended up with quite a talent-starved region, and just everyone thought there's nothing happening down there near the coast. It's a bunch of funny people who just drink too much and do other funny things, and yeah, they need to go to Joburg to get real opportunities. So one of our big goals were to encourage people that, yes, there's a place where you can actually learn and grow, so that if you ever want to move elsewhere, that you've got this option of, well, not necessarily going to Joburg, but you're on hopefully an international scale. And after we ran this for a while, we just ran it as a simple evening events, sort of 3 or 4 technical topics of 10, 15 minutes each, followed by a bit of a beer session. And yeah, we then decided it's time for a full day event. We did that. And the side effect of this was that suddenly the bigger regions, namely Johannesburg and Cape Town, said like, hey, we want in on this because it's odd that the smallest region is driving this. So we then started the other regions and followed by starting a national event after that and sort of formalized things a bit. And then with COVID, things went quiet, but things are starting up again for us now in the various regions. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep, Sara.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sara, co-founder for ZANOG. My friend and I, her name is Isabel. When we thought about the idea for ZANOG, we wanted a place. We were just having a talk and we were thinking like, there is no place for us, the Sudanese people, to meet and to talk to each other. Everyone is working in their own company or they are doing their own work, but they don't collaborate together or they don't meet even. So we were thinking that we want to build something or some community for all the network engineer, all the people are working on the IT field, come together, talk, discuss, know each other, and see what we can do. And one of the things that also was like very important things for us, as you some of you notice, not a lot of Sudanese people attend this kind of meeting. So for example, in this meeting, it's only me and my friend Hansa, but we are presenting our country, not like Sudan. So it was something like we need to fix. We need to make a bridge for Sudanese people to know what's happening around. There is a community already having some kind of activities that you can benefit from it. So that was the main idea for us when we decided to build ZANOG. There was a lot of challenge to do that. But the good things we managed and we did it, and we launched the first event on 2014. And surprisingly, that we find lots of people are interested and lots of people came and participate and join. So it was really nice to see that. Of course, same like another NOG, the pandemic came, lots of activities going down. And also some stuff happening like political situation in Sudan. As you may know, there's a revolution and we wouldn't be allowed to do any kind of gather because the government providing that, preventing that. So, but we tried still to manage to do some kind of things happening to keep the momentum. And yeah, and here we are. And hopefully we will continue what we used to do.
Thank you, Sara.
Thank you.
Cedrick.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cedrick. I'm representing the SAFNOG from Senegal. The story of the NOG from Senegal started a long time ago when we had a very successful Internet Society chapter who became famous in the country and a major actor of the ecosystem. With a lot of trainings, technical trainings, but the more the chapter was moving forward and the less technical training was happening. So the chapter was going more toward policies. Then the technical people started to feel abandoned. That's when the idea of having a NOG really kicked off, and then we started. So in 2017, we had the first event, which was the launching of the SAFNOG, and we wanted the NOG to have like annual event and also random based on the needs. And really the aim was to make sure that the technical people are also satisfied with something. They also have something, and not only the others. We started well, but also with the COVID happening, it was more and more difficult, including the fact that it was also challenging for people to understand what is a NOG, especially in an environment where NOGs were not something common. But slowly, we are still trying to keep the NOG alive, though it's challenging, but we are getting somewhere. Thank you.
Isabel.
So UGNOG is the youngest NOG on the panel. We actually call ourselves a pandemic baby because we started during the pandemic. So we started UGNOG through a conversation I had with Renee at the IGF in Berlin in 2019. I say to him, I was very much interested in starting UGNOG, and he says, tell me, what is this you need? I sort you out. So the following year, I called him. So I pinged him in at the beginning of 2020, and I say to him, if your offer still stands, I still want to start UGNOG. And we had initially planned for it to be a physical meeting, but because of the pandemic, we went and had a virtual NOG. So while everybody else transitioned from physical NOG to virtual NOG, us guys will be transitioning from virtual meetings, to physical meetings. So our very first meeting was in September of 2020. And because we didn't know what it was going to be like, people had already gotten exhausted from attending virtual meetings. So we said, okay, for us, success would maybe be 50 people. And we had over 150 people attending the virtual meeting, which was quite good. And the engagement from the community was also really good, even though it was virtual. We're so excited about it. So we had our next meeting in 2021. And this time around, we had over 250 people. So when things started easing out, we decided, okay, let's try out engaging with the people now physically. So we had a workshop in June. Also still, we said, let's have our success. For us, 35 maybe would be success because we're trying it out for the first time. And we had over 60 people attending. This time around, we had mostly technical training. We only began with presentation and content from the industry. But this time around, we said to do a workshop, technical workshop. So this year we'll have our annual conference in October from 2nd to 4th, and everybody is welcome. What UGNOG aims at achieving is just the same as what the other panelists have shared. We look at the best practices within the industry and the challenges and how best to address them.
Thank you, everyone. Does anybody in the audience have any questions they'd like to ask of any of the NOGs? If so, come to the microphone. And Sara, your name and affiliation, please.
Don't think this is working. Yeah, Darren Costa, Angola NOG. Thanks to Renee as well. We managed to launch the Angola NOG a while ago before the COVID. And we are actually facing a challenge, which is not getting the national attendees in the room, but it's to get national papers in the room. So we are getting more papers from the outside than the other way around. Do you guys see that as well?
So
just a general.
So a local content problem rather than. Yeah. Would anybody like to pick up? Isabel.
So we had also experienced the same, but what we decided is to insist that we get local content. So you have to insist, you need to push the community and give them priority as well. And for this year still, we discussed this and said we will give 60% to local content, and then 40%, even smaller than 40%, to international content, because we tried it in June and it actually did work. Yeah, so we tried it in June and it actually did work, but it requires a lot of effort and pushing and encouraging people that this is for the community. You need to do it for the community. You belong in the community, so you must take part in the engagement of the NOGs.
Sara.
We also face that a lot for SDNOG. So what Izzy already mentioned, that it will need some effort from the organizers, like to push the people and break the shyness that they have. So when we started that, we would go, like, we have friends in different organizations. We'll tell them, like, okay, what do you think talking about, come and give a presentation about this topic. Even if it's a very short or the small things, but the idea is that we want the community not to be afraid to present. Come and do a short talk, 10 minutes, some questions, if there is a question, and leave. So that was the idea, just for people to come, don't be afraid, don't feel shy to share. And then after that, recently we started to see, like, okay, people are submitting papers in the call for papers, and we can see that a really interesting topic are coming. And some people now, they are doing, like, okay, may I share? I read something, I'm not well understanding it. I will come and share what I have read. Maybe some people from the audience, we know more information, so we can talk. Can I present that? So yes, you can come and present. Doesn't need to be like fully 100% technology that's all fancy things. Come with everything. We will help here, all of us, each other. And yeah, and it was making a result. So maybe that's a advice for you to start with your community too.
I wish we could get things like that happening in some of the NOGs that I work with, to actually get people to be willing to do little by little things. Just, you know, come in and do that 5-minute talk, get the experience, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be you and content. And from that, you know, the English saying is, from little acorns, great oak trees grow. But that really is what it is. Any other feedback from anyone?
Maybe if I may.
Okay.
I would say that I am currently working with multiple NOGs, not only the one from Senegal. And it's true that we have not yet kickstarted, but part of the reason why we were not able to start is because people did not understand what is a NOG. And it starts there. People need to understand that this is where you can come and share knowledge. And for me to be able to encourage people to even come and be part of the initiative, it was to make them understand that it's not a technical forum where you are waiting for people with PhD coming and talking. It's just us sharing with each other. It's just a way for us to share between friends, share your whatever you are doing, whatever you know, and we want to learn. And even if we already know, it can be it can be a refresher for all of us. And that was my way to make sure that people understand, and for them now to say, okay, let's move. I have the case with, for instance, with Burkina Faso, where people were a bit reluctant into joining, and I had to pass the message that we are not looking for expertise. We are just looking for sharing. Knowledge sharing is just between us. It's not people trying to assess if you are right, wrong, or what. It's just you sharing to others. Thank you.
Thank you. Could somebody shut the door at the back? It seems to have been opened again and left open. Thanks. Great question, Darwin. I think it seems to be something we all struggle with or succeed with. Any other questions just now from the floor? Nishal.
Hello, my name is Nishal. No hats. What are your respective engines for capacity building? I mean, you're talking about, or the question came up about how do we get content from our community? Surely if you had capacity building programs, that would help create the sort of content, local content, and the necessary speaking skills and the necessary lack of shyness. That means that even if you're an idiot like me and asking dumb questions, you can still come to the microphone. So, I mean, what are each of you doing respectively in your countries? Izzy, I understand you're still new. So if you say we're still new, that's a good enough answer for me. Thank you.
Thank you for almost having pre-read the agenda, Nishal. But it's a good point, which we were going to hit later. So let's do that just now. Capacity building, who would like to start?
Well, I can, I guess. So the way we tried to build capacity, I mean, like the idea for the NOG actually came from a training course that our friend Nichelle actually ran in 2017, where Donald and myself and a couple of others were in the room and said like, well, we actually like mingling with people. So yeah, it's so I guess we started with the capacity building thing, but we've been finding it quite difficult to find the appropriate topics that keep wanting people to come back, because there's certain topics that we have to rehash quite regularly to get into people, because people change companies and then you have to go through the whole, for example, RPKI process again. And then it's many companies don't actually seem to see that want to do allow people to leave for training during working hours. So that's one of the reasons why our NOGs have, well, our regional NOGs had always been short after hour sessions. I think Renee called them bearings or something similar, but they're a little bit more formal than that. But ultimately we find that any capacity building needs to be shortened to the point to actually get it to work. Otherwise, we just, A, people get distracted during the day, and B, just it's sometimes a bit of information overload if you do it after a long day of hard work.
Sara?
Yes, I can share what we are doing. So when we started doing SDNOG, we started doing big conference, not very big, like medium conference. And we share some papers or some topics that we explain from local, from international, and we show people how things is working. And we got them after the conference survey, like, what do you want to see next? What do you want us to do next? So most of the people were asking for training, workshops, these topics we want to do. Then we will, okay, you ask for that, so we need your help as a community, how you want us to do this thing. And we send another survey, like when or with what type of training you want, and what do you think, which day or you want us to do this. As Ed mentioned, that lots of people have already job and they are not free all the time, and most of the people who are working, or all of them, they are volunteers, so they don't have enough time to do full 5-day workshop doing that. So we came up with the idea, okay, we will do like mini workshop, and we started doing that since 2015. We do that in a weekdays, like Friday is a weekday in Sudan and Saturday. So Friday is a family day, Saturday will be the workshops that we will doing. So every Saturday we will do some topic, and we will have some people, local people, volunteer, who are willing to do this specific topic. It's very, you may sound it's very tiring or maybe very hard, but honestly, when you started, you will feel like it's not difficult, because when we telling people like we would like to continue doing this, but we wouldn't be able to do that. We needed people to volunteer with us and do this. We find a lots of people, like hundreds of people are registering. We would love to do this and help you to volunteer that. So we said, okay, fine, lots of volunteer, we need to organize you, and every people will do it once. So for you will be once per month, just one Saturday, come help the people to set up or do the topic they want to do. And that's it. And it works, it worked very well. And we did like, I don't know the numbers, but if you're interested, you can check them in the website or the wiki page. And even from cost-wise, someone may ask about the cost. It wasn't fancy. So we will tell them like, if you want to come to workshop, we are no for profit. We don't have any money. We will ask you to pay for your breakfast and for drink if you want. If you want to grab something with you, that's fine with us. And then we will do it. And that's worked. Some people bring their food with them, and some people will tell, okay, we will pay the simple fees and we will do that. And even if you are interested, you can find the reports with the budgets and everything published in the website. So the normal cost for each workshop, we were doing less than $50. So, and every week we are doing that. So it was fantastic, honestly. It was really informative.
I have to say that I think that's just stunningly amazing, because I don't know any other NOG in Europe that does that. Pretty sure there's none in the US or Canada. And unless anybody else here puts their hand up, I don't think anyone else in Africa. I think
you.
that's amazing.
Thank you. As I said, it will sound a little bit difficult. Oh, how do you do that? But honestly, as I said, if you engage the community with you, it will be very easy. As I mentioned, for me, it was one Saturday in a month I would go. For other lady, Hansan, you can confirm 1 month, one Saturday in a month, you go and do this thing. So it was easy. That's it.
I mean, like everything, once you have scale and
Exactly.
process, it's like, yes, push the button and it happens.
That's it.
Everybody else is, I think, is stuck at the getting the stone pushed up the hill.
That's true. You need to start at some point.
So for us, Nishal, I still have an answer, even though we're still new and we've only started. We tried it out once this year. We selected the topics that we thought, because it was the first time we decided to dictate on the topics. And the good thing for us is that these are topics that Renu already does capacity building on. And then we sent out invitations to different mailing lists. And then Renee decided to also go on social media. But because I felt that the operators and some of the researchers also needed what we were going to be sharing, I called on some friends, some of the operators and the IXP data centers, and asked them to send their teams, because we thought they would benefit from it, especially on one of the things that Kyle had insisted we have, because he said not so many people know about IXPs and what IXPs do. Some of them don't even know what peering is all about. So and yet these are people that you will have to work with. So we called some of the companies and asked them to send their teams, and it worked out well for us.
Cedrick.
Okay, thank you. You keep the best for the.
Well, no, we can go back to Portia now. She has to answer because everyone else has.
Okay, I would say for us, I will go in the other way, because they have been sharing about success story. Let me share about failure story. One thing that I've learned is that you can come up with the best subject with the best trainers, but if you don't have a community, nobody will come. We have sent invitations, we have sent WhatsApp, we have even used the ISOC mailing list, send, but I think that, oh yes, one time we were able to get 1 participant. So we have 3 organizers plus 1 participant. And the rest of the time it was just the 3 organizers. Then we had to finish all the pizza and the drinks. But something that I've learned out of it is you need a community. If you don't build the community, nobody will come. So it comes back to first, it's not about getting only, people that but it's really about building that community for people to understand what is a NOG, why you want to do that. Then, slowly you will start getting people. And also you need to get out of your comfort zone. Don't only go to the people that because there are some people out there who are really interested. You have people with a lot of, who are willing to come, but unfortunately, due to their responsibility, they cannot. But also you have people out there who don't know that things are happening. So you need to get out of your comfort zone, try to reach out to the maximum people for them to come, and then you can have something. Thank you.
Oh, look.
I'm still here. So for us, initially, with regards to the topics that are covered in the conference, we basically use the mailing list to have discussions throughout the year and pick topics that are relevant based on the discussions that are happening in the mailing list. In terms of capacity building for each region that for each country that we've had the meetings in, we've had more meetings in South Africa than any other country. But for us, we found it we found that it was easier for us to be able to get attendees or people to attend the conferences if we work with local organizations. For instance, we've co-located twice with iWeek back in 2000, sorry, I can't remember, but it was in Durban and then in Johannesburg. And that actually helped to get people to be aware of what the meeting was all about. But also when we put together the program, we also encourage people to let us know if they need motivation for their employers, to explain the kind of topics that will be covered and how it will be beneficial to them, for them to attend the conference as well as the trainings that are held in parallel.
Thank you. Does anybody not do training as part of the community building?
I think so. Don't think so.
I can't hear you. So,
I don't think, no, I don't think so.
so everybody does training as part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, is very different from Europe.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a real struggle to get training available and to get people to do it.
yeah, I mean, for us, for instance, RPKI and IPv6 have been one of the things that we made sure that we put into the program as part of the training because it was really necessary.
So I mean, it's like separate workshops,
Yes.
like you go into a side room and
Yes.
yeah, and you're doing, yeah, okay. Good. So what do we think are the biggest challenges you're facing as a NOG or a community?
Right now, I would say because we now have to go back into having a physical meeting, that is one of the biggest challenges because for people that are outside of the country, budgets have been cut for traveling, for instance. People in the country, they don't really want to spend money coming to the conference or so those are some of the challenges that we've had, but we're trying to encourage people to come out again. It is safe to travel again, so yeah, for us that's the challenge we've faced with this meeting that we'll have just now.
Ed?
I think our biggest issue has been, well, volunteer fatigue almost, because the whole COVID process took a lot out of many people. People were like having to change and readapt, and then everyone wanting a Zoom meeting and then having to have virtual events everywhere. And then it just became a big fatigue, like there was Zoom fatigue, but the people putting these things together who often thrive on the interaction that they get at these events, just almost half burnt out because they no longer had that feedback loop that motivated them to do the same thing again. For other events. So it's, yeah, we're in the same position where we've done a couple of our smaller NOGs now. We're planning our next big event for next year. And the smaller NOGs have helped build up our motivation to get things rolling again. And yeah, but we're still having some volunteers they're struggling because work is ridiculously busy at the moment for them and no one's paid to do this. And then yeah, but hopefully it'll calm down in the next couple of months.
Sorry. I
I
mean, apart from your problem of having so much success.
I don't know if there is another challenge we haven't seen yet. So rather that I will just give a brief about the challenges we have and then what we will have in the future. So what we have is, as Cedrick mentioned, that people are not aware of what is NOG. So that was a difficult thing, like communicating with people, telling what is a NOG. And to do that, to solve that problem, we were using our friends and personal relationships. And we were telling that everyone in your organization, please be ambassador for SDNOG and tell people about what we are doing. Let's say come and participate. So that's the way that we build. So even for the community, from the number of the people from SDNOG 1 until now, all these difference happen with that way. Of course, we have a mailing list and social media and all these things, it's there. Another thing, Sudan was in a section or section list. So yes, lots of things are not available. Lots of things, lots of tools, even if big organizations like, for example, just an example, ISOCAD, AfPIF, they would like to help us. And they've said like, we cannot send someone, but we will send you money to help you doing that. Money wouldn't come to Sudan. The banking situations with the banking operation is not accepting money from outside. So that was difficulties. Another thing that tools or software, when the pandemic happened and all the people were using Zoom was blocked from Sudan. Lots of people that are using Microsoft or other tools, all of these things are blocked in Sudan. So we needed to find another way and another alternative. I feel that these challenges made us to think beyond what, like you need to be, you need to think and you need to be innovate to, sorry, English is not my first language, so I'm trying to translate, to innovate something that will work with your community. So that's lots of challenge. Of course, building the community and make sure that the people are not only taking from the SDNOG, we want you to give in some point. So that was also a challenge. And as we said, we were trying to tell people like, you don't need to be expert. You don't need to be someone like, wow, come and share with us everything you know, and that's enough for us. And it worked. It seemed like it worked. Lots of people now, they are breaking their shyness and they come and they giving a little bit of things, or they will tell you like, we wouldn't help much. We will be like, if you are doing a workshop, I will be the main instructor. I will be the tutor. That's fine with us. You can work with that. Start with that. At some point, we will push you in some point and we'll make you a main instructor. Another challenge or the future will happen is, again, situation, that's a political situation in Sudan is still not very stable to do a big like conference or big thing. So we will need to find a way. The good thing that the ministry and regulator are helping with that very much because they know the work or the good work that ZANOG is doing. So they said, if we want to do that, they will help us to like organize and do these things. Other thing, as all of people are like recovering from the pandemic, we're not sure how that will happen. If the people will be still afraid to come and attend, or that will work with them fine, or maybe they are missing that. So that's also a challenge we are going to face. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Could I ask members of the audience who want to chat amongst themselves to perhaps do it outside? Because we can hear you on stage and it's really distracting. And I won't point fingers at anyone. But if you could, that would be really good. Thank you. Hello. We're trying to have a conversation here and you're interrupting us with your conversation. So if you'd like to continue it outside, that'd be great. Good. Cedrick.
Okay, thank you. I would say on our side, the challenges that we have, one of them is promotion. First, for people to understand what is a NOG, because this is not something that you commonly find in the French-speaking country, but also doing some outreach, because we have been relying, I would say, on the wrong medium. And even the people that have been very active within the ecosystem and the community have not been really reach out for them to come. So I would say that this is part of the challenge that we have, doing more outreach, going out to more people, making sure that we touch everybody for them to join. That's one of the challenge. Another challenge is actually being able to organize activities. For those who have been in Senegal, they know that there is a lot of traffic. So being able to either organize something online, you need to really find a good time for it to not be within working hours. Otherwise, you won't have that much people. And if you want to do it after working hours, it's also a challenge, because some people, it's not that they are living far, but because of the traffic, for them to come and join you to that location, then going back home will be like 2 hours for usually like something that you can do within 20 to 30 minutes. So I would say that right now, those are our biggest challenges. Thank you.
Isabel.
The first challenge I faced was not knowing how to fully make use of social media, because we actually had to rely on social media. I learned how to use it, which was a good thing. I got to learn something new. But seriously now, our challenge has been mostly getting local support from, from companies within the ecosystem in Uganda. Most of our support has come from companies that are international. We'll have like maybe one or two local companies supporting the NOG, and yet we feel that it's meant, once again, it's meant for the local community. So we need to be able to have local support as well. The other thing has been getting volunteers to work with us, because at the end of the day, they're taking on their personal time, and also they're not being paid for it. So getting volunteers is usually a challenge. Then one thing we experienced this year was having to choose, trying to work with people who are a bit less technical and then very technical people, because at our first workshop, one of the feedback we got was some of the topics were really, really technical. So some of the learners that attended could not really keep up. We've already chosen to address that by creating a track 0 before the workshop day, where we're going to have the very technical content. So yeah, those have been our challenges so far. We're still young. I hope we don't meet many along the way.
Thank you all. We have a question from, I'm assuming, online.
Yep. Sorry, this is for giants over here. We've got an online question from Samuel Karuku. Hopefully I've pronounced your name correctly. And he would like to know, how do you vet the right community members to be trained on a particular topic? To anybody.
So the question is, do you vet people to be allowed to train on something? And I'm not sure how I would answer that or where to start. So Ed, you look as though you have something to say.
Well, we've never vetted people, but we've had some interesting people arrive at training courses before. So one of our big communication methods is Telegram. And we had a random photographer that joined the Telegram group and sort of asked odd questions, but it was a bit weird. And then I think at one point we were hosting training and he pitched up at the course and like, okay, I don't understand what his point was, but yeah, we don't vet. I don't think there's any sane way you can vet it. And as long as it's not going to cost particularly much extra, and as long as the people aren't disruptive, I don't think there's any point in vetting. If there's someone disruptive, yes, remove them on the spot. But for the cost of, say, a meal extra or something, I think it's rather towards the sides that it might be someone who might grow and be more useful in the community. Because usually people who come out to training are interested to grow. And that's ultimately what our communities are about.
Anyone else want to follow up with that, or do we think that's covers it all?
That pretty much covers it.
Yep. The short answer is we don't vet. I mean, what would we vet towards? I mean, so any other questions from the audience? Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Maddi Nohatson for now. One question to the NOG representatives here. Have you thought about a training program that you could perhaps market with the telcos or the network operators in your country? And that way, instead of those companies sending their engineers for training elsewhere and paying loads of money, but they could do that perhaps at a lesser cost. But the reputation of the NOG, and I still believe that the African NOGs have a very good reputation because we have all sourced from AfNOG. So 15 years ago, I went to two AfNOG trainings with the promise that what I learned there, I'll come back and implement for the organization. It was money well spent for the organization, right? So have you thought about that model that way, as much as you are building a community, but you can also go to like top-down approach from the organizations. And as those engineers or they embark on your training program, then they can become fans of the NOG and then spread it in the community as well. But the organizations also get to benefit from you, and then perhaps they can further support the NOGs in the country, because it's a very great thing to have a NOG, a national NOG. All right. The second question, well, if I want to volunteer for a NOG, what do you do? What do you have? Because honestly, sometimes for some in the community, I feel they may not feel like they are up to the task. They don't know what's in there for them, but do you have like a trainers program just to embark newcomers that could perhaps devote 1 or 2 hours per month to your activities? Thank you.
To the second question, a lot of the time, the volunteers you need are just to do things like meet people at the door and things like that. There's not a lot of training that's needed. And certainly, I think my experience is that somebody gets in touch and says, how can I be a volunteer? You get put on a volunteer list, and before a meeting, there's a thing posted out saying, we need people to do this. Either reply or sign up on the website, whatever. Does everybody have that sort of same process for bringing people on board?
Yeah.
Yeah. The top-down thing is a lot more complicated. If I was bad, I would ask Nishal to comment on that, but he would shout at me. But I did notice you might have sent Donald to the back to answer that. Or are you going to ask about something else?
No, I wasn't sent. Donald, a NOG attendee. My question is...
so is this on the same subject?
Well, to do with well,
is it on the training, top-down training?
No,
okay,
but it's not quite related. So maybe.
So, Nishal, do you want to comment on doing training like that, since you do a huge amount of training in Africa? Okay, let's open it to the Isabel.
So after our first workshop in June, we had some of the participants that came and said to us, why aren't you charging for this? Because this is content that we wouldn't easily find on the internet. And also this is still content that our companies would send us out to go and learn. But then we wanted to maintain the model that we don't charge the participants to come and attend. We look for funding to host these workshops or meetings. So it's something that we haven't really thought about.
Anyone else? Sara? Cedrick?
I would say the top-down approach, yes, it's feasible, but I would say it also depends on the context. Because when you are in a context where things are very formal and they will ask you, okay, who are you guys? Are you a training center or something like that? So if you are just coming with the title community of technical people, it's very difficult for you to convince a company that they should trust you with the training of their employees. It is feasible, but it takes time, because this is something that you need to build that trust for people now, for the NOG to become something trustworthy, for those companies to now entrust their employees to the NOG. Thank you.
I was going to say it's something that we have tried to some extent, and we use the training and the content that's going to be in the training as motivation for why they should come out. attendees should come out or their employers should allow them to attend the conferences. So to the extent that we've tried it, it has worked. But of course, you need to really put in some motivation in there. But to some extent, we have tried it and it has worked.
So
Yes, I have comment. Okay, for SDNOG, when we started doing that, normally we don't go for tech. We will see who's the trainer, which papers are submitted, and we will do the workshop. But we found like, okay, some people come and attend that, but we don't know if that attendee or that course was very informative for them. When they go back, they will really learn and do work with what they have learned, or it will just be for their knowledge. So we were doing like a different approach. We will reach to the ISPs and the telecom. We will tell them like, okay, we are planning to do this event this time. What do you want? What topic you would like to hear? What type of content you want to see? And we will try to reach to some people who have knowledge, and maybe they help us. Maybe someone have already did that, or maybe we will reach to the company. They can send a trainer to do this for us. So sometimes we get a response, sometimes we get not, but recent, it worked. I can see that it worked 80%. For example, we reach for .sd people and we tell them like, what do you want? So they want topics about DNSSEC and these related things. So we do that for them. Some ISPs, they would like to know some about routing things, and we do that. And we started doing that until we reached a point, and I'm happy. I'm very happy with what we have done. Now it's like a reference. It's not a reference, but they call us, like they reach to SDNOG. We want to do this. How we can do that? Do you have a trainer to do that, or how can you help with doing that? And I'm glad that we reached this point, because now we are talking about the biggest ISPs. Even if they need something, or they try to find something in the internet and they didn't understand that, we will tell us like, okay, we read about this, we found this, we couldn't understand. Sometimes we ask them to start the discussion in the mailing list. If it still not exist or you couldn't understand, then maybe we can try and do like a face-to-face workshop, and we will work with you with that. And also the new ISPs or the new people who are joining the market, sorry, they also sometimes reach to SDNOG and tell them like, we are new, what we can do. Sometimes we point them to people like, okay, you can go and talk to these people. Or sometimes we will tell them like, okay, we have done already a workshop talking about that. Maybe you can go to our website or to go to the wiki page, and you will find all the details you need there. So of course, we cannot cover all the topic they ask, because sometimes it's related to specific vendors or things like that. But if it's a general concept, yeah, we do that for them sometimes.
thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Any last comments on that from anyone, having heard what everybody else said? No. Okay. Donald, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much. So Sara, you really answered my question to a degree, but I think before we do that, I think we all have to give her a round of applause for what she's done, being, I think, one of the best NOGs in the world. So
just one comment, it's not only me, it's a community behind me. A lot of people there are really working hard to make this happen.
and
But
that
you are the catalyst.
yes, but
I'm trying to leave.
You're half the cat. You're half the
catalyst. People to go.
So my question is around that. You know, we've seen that some communities still need to be built, and obviously we're always building our communities. But what have you found, and this is also to the rest of the panelists, the most effective way of doing this? I mean, you know, I come from the age of mailing lists only, and you know, carrier pigeons to get information out there. But promoting the NOGs, you know, getting people to understand what NOGs are. Which platforms do you find the most effective to actually get traction on these days? And it's a general question to the panelists.
I don't
We-
want to be the talkative one. I feel like.
Portia, you're our social media queen in her day job.
Well, so yes, social media is definitely one of the platforms where we try to reach out to everyone. But I was actually going to commend Ed and the ZANOG group for what they've done, because they've got a Telegram group, and it's not limited to just people in South Africa, or it's open to everybody. And you guys have really done a great job in keeping the community engaging. Basically every day, any topic that comes up, if there's an issue, people talk about it right there and help each other when they need help with whatsoever. So I was going to commend them for the Telegram group.
I mean, I'm on the various Telegram groups from ZANOG, and I know more about network operations and what's breaking it's there than I do about anywhere else that I'm involved with ops. But it's so comprehensive and it's just there and people just use it. It is really good.
Yeah, because it's instant communication. Mailing lists, yes, still work, but really nobody really uses mailing lists anymore. We use them for the general communication, but for everyday talk, I think that works better.
So we've managed to embarrass Sara. We've managed to embarrass Ed. Who's next? Ed, on you go.
Make a comment on that. So, as Donald said, I'm also part of the old group that likes my mailing list, and I guess I'm not part of the instant gratification group that's out there, which seems to be most of our members these days. And there's a big push for extra platforms to be used because someone wants to use Discord and someone wants to use something else. But our biggest worry is the more platforms we use that don't interlink, the more we're going to end up like making separate sub-communities of almost like people who have cults of this is the platform I use and it's the only thing I will use. Because I mean, we have lots of members, for example, who don't trust WhatsApp, even though that's probably one of the biggest options out there. So the Telegram's great, yes, but it is, I mean, we have two separate Telegram groups, one which is aimed to be ops and one is just general discuss, and they're literally called ZANOG and ZANOG discuss. And still, even between the two of them, there's a bit of a different community behind both of them. And it's just, I guess the biggest problem is how do you not segment your client bases? But if anyone wants to join the group and just listen or do, the links on our nog.net.za website. So yeah, sorry, shameless punt.
That's what we're all here for.
Ed, I'm definitely going to create a Telegram group for UGNOG because the mailing list also hasn't really worked for us. Facebook and Instagram have done wonders for us, and that's mostly how we've been communicating. But I think a Telegram group would be very good because we've been trying to encourage the community to continue engaging even outside of the meetings and the workshops that we've been having. So yeah.
Cedrick.
I would say in our case for Senegal, we did set up a WhatsApp group, but it was not really successful. Instead of seeing people joining, we saw more people leaving the group. One thing that has really worked was more meeting people face to face and having that discussion about NOGs and getting them involved, because there is really that need to educate them on what is a NOG, and this one has been working. I can also talk about the case in Mauritius, where we have the NOG, which is actually just a Telegram group, and it's working fine. At first, it was mainly, I would say, African people and HISOC people dumping some announce like training opportunities here, conference happening there. But recently, I would say since last year, more and more we can see people asking questions, technical questions, and it's actually working, building, and we see more and more people joining the Telegram group in Mauritius. I've seen that also in Burkina Faso, because I'm working with them. They have a WhatsApp group, and people are there and information are flowing, but it's working. And unfortunately, I'm not really a social media person. I'm more, for those who have heard about it, Bushmail back then. Yes. Oh, mail over the radio, like you just push. So I'm not really into social media, so I cannot really comment on that one.
I mean, certainly in Europe and the US, IRC still pretty much reigns. And if you want to use anything else like Mattermost or whatever, you need to bridge into it. And there are people who would not leave their IRC client. It's, you know, we have to wait until they retire. Meanwhile, the young folk, that are the people we need in, like their GUIs. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different ways of working. I find IRC painful, but Nishal.
Hello, it's Nishal. No hats. Oh, just a comment and then my question. The comment before you discard technologies like email, remember that it's open to everybody and that it is not ephemeral. Mailing lists are really useful for those people that want to learn from history. And if there's one thing, if anybody here, and most of you have sat in my class, no, I always tell you is learn from my mistakes. I've made hundreds in my time. Don't make the same mistakes I've made. That's going to make you smarter. So it's really good to go back and read a thread sometime and until you figure out how to get your new platforms onto that, and I suggest you do, there's valuable information you're losing. That's not to say you shouldn't use anything else, just pay attention to you not losing, I guess, log messages. My question though, we've heard about you doing your NOGs, fantastic. We've heard about you doing training, fantastic. What else do you do? And what, in addition to what else you do, where do you draw the line? So for example, are you involved in any kind of, do you do policy training? Do you teach people about why it's good to do X or not? In some places, it might be slightly more contentious than others. I won't mention names or call you out. But what do you think is scope for you to want to, what do you do extra? What do you think is scope for you to want to do extra? And where do you draw the hard line? Like these are the things I'm not interested in doing.
So is this talking about training or things that you're discussing within the NOG?
I meant in the context of their community.
So not specifically training, just areas of interest.
Call it whatever you want.
Okay.
I can give
Sara.
Okay, for what we are doing for Sudan NOG, I think the first thing, plus the training and the technical workshops we are doing, we had a good relationship with the regulator and the minister, which is good, because when we went for them first time, tell them that we were planning to do that, it was okay for them. We told them like, we need your help. They were honestly like welcoming, but they didn't know that if we will be honest with the plan and with the documents and the good things we were mentioning, if we are going to do that or not. So that's also one of our goals. Like what we wrote here, we need to prove for them that we are going to do that because we need their help and support along our way. So for some projects, when the minister or the regulator are doing, they share it with the community. Sometimes when they do have a project, for example, they wanted to do what is it called, 5 years plan, IPv6, moving the country to IPv6. So they wanted some support and some help from the community. So that help will come from SDNOG, and we will tell them like, SDNOG is not one person. We will share what you're saying or what you are getting with the mailing list. Someone will volunteer from the mailing list and will conclude all the feedback is coming, and we'll share that with the regulator. And one of our volunteers who already did that project, that lady, she's sitting there, Hansa, she was doing that, taking the feedback from the mailing list and share it with the regulator. So for some kind of projects, as I mentioned, the regulator ministry is doing. We also were part for helping developing the exchange point in Sudan. It's still not 100% working fine, but still in the process. So we also we were telling them we can help with any kind of support we can tell. We can do training, we can ask the people to train. If you need the help from outside, maybe we have access or we have more contact better than the exchange point team. So we can help you just to contact people who can help you. So that's also one thing. Other thing, we have some, it's not a complete project, like 70%. We wanted to do some kind of documentation for everything we are doing. Everything we are doing since we start the NOG, like how we started the NOG. So we built a document for that. So if you are the new NOG or you want to see how to start, there is already a document based in our story. We share our story, we write it, the things we did wrong, the things we did right, and maybe you can use that document and use it. There is some NOGs that already use that document and they are really doing a fantastic job. Maybe you heard about them, this Somalian NOG. Somalian NOG is also a new NOG, but they're really doing a great job in their community. And also Yemen NOG and Jordan NOG, they use that document and they write to us like, we did this, it didn't work, but this is our story. Like, this is what happened for us. You don't need to follow it exactly. See what fit with your community, how it work in your community, and then customize it. Another thing for even not technical reports, but we also like, if you want to set up a workshop, one-day event, a forum or something like that, this is what we are doing. This is what worked for us. Maybe it will work for you. Maybe you can customize it a little bit and it will work for you, but at least we'll give you a guidelines for what you need to take care. I think this is a good thing. It's taking time for us, yes. Not a lot of us like writing documentation, but I feel it's good because it's also helped when we ask new people to join. If they want to do a thing, we don't need to sit with them and teach them step by step. Go read this. If we have anything, we can have like 30-minute talk, and then we will show you how to do the things. So these are some of the projects not only the training we are doing in our NOG.
So not very much in your normal understated way. You're doing quite a lot.
Oh. Honestly, I don't know how to say
When I say you, I mean you as the NOG, not
yes,
just you.
as the NOG. I was just saying that to Khansa, like I told her, like when we say that, for me it's a lot. It used to be a lot, but now because you used to do it, at some point you will feel like it's normal, it's easy because you know how to do it. You already have experience. You already know how to do the things. So it would be hard in the first time, but once you start, it will just go. That's it. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ed.
So we tried to actually stay out of the sort of regulatory stuff because our ISPA in South Africa looks after a lot of that stuff for us. They've got various work groups that look after the boring legal stuff. And I think ultimately we were started as a technical group, which is why our type of projects that we looked at was, I mean, our first big one was trying to get effectively an early version of the Netflix Strutulis IX setup running in our hometown, Durban. Because we believe that the IX should be neutral and just sort of do its own thing without being content non-neutral or whatever you want to call it. So we believe that the NOG is the right place to say, have the cash come in and provide there. And we've been quite successful with that. And it's actually helped us gain quite a few members by doing projects like that. And then other projects that we've sort of attempted was, for example, and we're really bad at documenting things publicly, at least. So our website's horribly out of date, I guess. But like something that I'm starting to get more passionate about is there's a lack of Stratum 1 servers in South Africa, for example, because I think the people that used to run them are slowly sort of just dying off. And so we've got our CSIR, which is our research and standards board. They run some of them. And other than that, it's difficult to get some. So we've got a small sideline project where we're now starting time servers, just because it's something we thought was cool. And generally, if someone comes to us and says we need help with something that is cool for the community, it just makes sense to take that under our wing and help go for it.
Okay. For time, you should come and go and talk to NetNod, and they'd be interested. Portia.
So same with what Ella said, we stay away from those kind of topics. We let, and because we are a regional NOG, for South Africa, we let the regulator or ISPA handle all of that. And for the different countries, we still don't touch it. So we tend to be focused on more of the networking topics and the technical topics.
Cedrick.
I would say, for me, I believe that we are all part of one ecosystem. And when it comes to things like policies, there are already people who are doing it and they are doing very well. So why trying to step on each other's toes? That's one. But two, also, we want the NOG to remain that technical platform, no ads on, where people can come and just talk technology. So we'll definitely stay away from anything policy or legal. We'll let the other people do it, but at the same time, as much as possible, try to work with the other people in the ecosystem just to make sure that we are working together. Nobody is trying to outshine the others, and then we make the whole community move together. Thank you.
Isabel.
So because we're still new, we're still learning the ropes, but we've tried to engage the regulator, but they weren't really responsive. Like I said, it's been very difficult to get local support. So I guess we'll just keep it technical as well for now.
Okay. So we've got 5 minutes before we should wrap up. Should we go down the line again, and any last comments based on what we've heard discussed?
From my side, the NOGs are really community-based, so we really want to encourage people to volunteer. When Ed mentioned volunteers as part of the challenge, it's also a challenge that we face. So we welcome everybody, and we really encourage people within their communities, whether it's in your country or in your city, to have a community. It helps to have those topics, to discuss things that are challenges or things that are coming up. Talk to each other. Doesn't have to be formal. Like Ed said, the way they started it, they started as a small community for KZ and NOG, and now it's in three different regions in South Africa, and they have a NOG for the country as well. So for us as a sub-regional NOG, it's important that at least each country has a community where they can have discussions about what's going on within the country. So that's at least my hope for SAFNOG, to encourage people to continue to have meetings, to talk, and yeah. Oh, and please come to SAFNOG next week.
I see Nishal is standing by the microphone. Do we want to hear what he has to say?
Of course. Yes.
Or he's graciously given up his slot for me. My name is Dewale Ajao, NGNOG. I just wanted to point out that you don't necessarily need to shy away from policy or regulatory talk. Being a NOG that started out solely focused on capacity building, what we found is that in all of these organizations, they've got techies who need the technical capacity. Now, 16 years down the line, the guys who were newbies in those classes are assistant directors, directors in these organizations. And because they've learned, they've built together the community spirit, they have a better understanding of what's going on, and then that impacts the ecosystem as a whole in the long term. So just try to figure out ways in which you can get people involved at any level. It could be at the C level, it could be at the most junior ones or the interns. That's just my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishal.
Diwali for Afrinic board. I was going to say, firstly, I had two comments as usual. The first was, it's because techies don't want to get to the other side that people like me, who want to believe we're still techies, now have to wear ties. Trust me, you're going to get there. And I think that it's smart for you to think far ahead into the future, and that there's no, I have to do this or I have to do that. It's simply an extension of where you want to go. I'm not forcing you to go down that route, but consider that it might be there. The second, because I know you're running out of time, wasn't a question actually, Fearghas. I heard you take a deep breath in. I want you to say that if there's anyone here that's struggling to start a NOG, there are many of us in the audience that have helped build NOGs and start NOGs across the region and across the world, actually. I do that. And one of the groups I'm part of, the Global NOG Alliance, we help to do that. So if you're stuck, you can go to globalnogalliance.org or reach out to myself or Rene, whoever he is. Oh, there he's there. and we'll help you. No questions. See, easy.
Hi, I can't see you because the spotlights are just above the mic, so I'm completely invisible.
All right. Well, mine is brief. I have been in charge of
Sorry,
project.
who are you?
My name is Martin Waiduba. From ICT Embedded Uganda. From my experience in terms of project management and managing technical teams, I think we need help on culture. Why do you guys want us to share? Why do you want me to talk? Why do you want me to just appear for the sake of appearing? Guys sometimes don't see the sense in these kind of things. So I think we need to help cultural transformation experts, somebody to come in and have maybe a series. We'll tell people why should they share, moreover for free, and why should they be talking about things. So until they appreciate that, then I think you'll see a change. I can see the different success stories. They're from different communities with different contexts and different beliefs. And that cohesion maybe drives what you see in that society. But so to have a uniform success story, I think all these societies should have some fundamental truth to this concept of community sharing, knowledge sharing, and such. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very valuable comment, I think. Isabel, and do you want to cover anything else that you've learned or final thoughts in your reply?
Okay, I will. So I just wanted to add a comment to that. So all of us here have seen the benefits of the community. That's why we decided to start the NOGs anyway. Majority of us, I actually speak for myself, the community is quite greatly responsible for my growth. And so because of that growth, I felt the need to start UGNOG so that other people can benefit the way I have, the ones that can't make it to AfNOG once a year, or even those who have never ever heard about AfNOG. So all of us here, it's because we understand the benefit and so would like to share the same with others. So it's not necessarily a culture thing. Like, for example, majority of the trainers, I think from Uganda, we are about 5 that do training at AfNOG, and are also now still engaged locally as well. So my last remarks anyway is I think it would be very good for everybody to come through and join us in trying to push this, because while we work together, we're working towards building the African internet. And it would also be good to see other regional NOGs, the way the Southern African NOG is operating. The East African NOG had started, but then it went silent for a bit. So it would be good we're planning on having it revived, but it would be nice to also have some other regional NOGs, West Africa, North, East, and like Nishal had offered, if you need assistance, get in touch with the Global NOG Alliance, but also we are also available to help you start your NOGs, because ours also help with the assistance of the Global NOG Alliance and also the other NOGs that are here in Africa.
And people like the RIPE NCC also support NOGs, and so there are lots of venues to go and get help, support, funding if you need it. Commercial organizations that will fund NOGs as part of their outreach. Ed.
One thing that I've noticed have come up a couple of times is obviously our marketing problems as NOGs. And I was wondering, the term NOG might be seen as quite an antiquated term nowadays, because often the first question we get asked is, what is this NOG thing? Is it something that someone drinks? Because I think a bloke remembered eggnog and was a bit confused. But I mean, is it perhaps not time for us to look at new names for these things that help explain a bit more what we're doing from it? Because that might solve some of our marketing problems.
Perhaps network operator group.
Even that doesn't often, like, because yeah, we when we advertise our events, we originally just did KZNOG and then did it KZN Network Operators Group, and we didn't see that to do much change. It made people ask, what is this thing? But still, I don't know, as I said earlier, I think it was Renee said, call them bearings because it makes more sense to people, but does it still make it more sense? I don't know.
And your thoughts? Or is that all your thoughts?
I think that's all my thoughts at the moment.
Okay. Cedrick.
First of all, I want to come back on the support to NOGs. I think that especially that we are in the context of Africa, there are a lot of institutions who are ready to support NOGs. Yes, you have the NOG Global Alliance. You also have the Araya Afrinic. You also have ISOC who is there. So you have so many people that you can reach out to, and doesn't take much doesn't need that much money to start a NOG. More people to come together and do something and do it. And now I would say on my final thoughts, I would just say this: NOGs are a force for good. They are good for the community. That's a good framework for a good environment for people to share their experience. Also to be able, a safe place for people to talk and exchange. So I would say it's a good thing to build the NOGs, though it's a bit challenging, but also people need to put away that thing about language barrier, because most of the time people will come and say, oh, we don't speak your language, or you want to do it in French, may I only speak English or Arabic. I think nowadays this is not something that we should worry about. Let's just go. Think about the fact that NOG are a force for good and focus on that. If you can find somebody who speak your language, online translation is there, and this is something possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Sara, do you have anything to say?
Of course, I have something to say. Okay, so it's just a little bit of maybe advices. First, you don't need to start big. Start small and call it whatever you want to call. Forum, something to call, maybe a local word from your community, something for us, all of us to meet. So whatever it works with you, do it. No one knows your community better than you and your community. So find the ways that work with you, with your community, and do it. If it's a NOG, it's a big thing, and the small things, it just need to happen and make it work. And when you start, as I said, you don't need to start big. You can start small with the resources you have, and then you can grow. And based on experience, when we started with small with the resources we have, and then we went out and we asked for more resources from another companies or another help, we find that they are really very helpful to help you, because they see that you are willing to do some work. But don't come and with a plan, a big plan, and ask for more and more without anything. It starts with what you have, and then go and ask. And definitely people, as I mentioned, there is a lot of people and lots of organizations are willing to help you. And as a gentleman said, that we need to change a little bit of the culture, like not everything you take, you need to give. So I expect that when we go out from here and we reach out to our home, we will share that we were in a community, we were in an event called AfPIF, and we did this, and the next AfPIF will be there if you want. And now that's one of the good things of the pandemic, that some things can be online. So even if you cannot attend on site, you can attend online. So that's also a thing. And to do this in your community, some people need to start doing that. So for the people who believe on sharing, you need to be the one that's doing that, so people will follow you after that. And yeah, and don't be shy. Always ask for help, for support, for anything. That will really make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara. Apologies for somebody turning your video off in the middle of that. Thank you all very much for coming and sharing your thoughts. So please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
We now have to do the embarrassing bit, which is give you a thank you present. Also, do we have any of the speakers from yesterday or today who didn't get a gift bag? No. Oh, you, well, might not get two. Anyway. And we'll do a photo opportunity as well. No. Well, I mean, Isabel, but she's just got. Thank you again. I thought it was really good. And please give them a round of applause. Thanks, Sara. Okay, we're 5 minutes late, but break for coffee. Back at 5 o'clock, please, for the, 4 o'clock for the final session of talks and the announcement of where we're going to go next year, which apparently some people are interested in. Meanwhile, if you want to fill in the survey, the QR code and URL on the screens will let you go and fill it in. See you in half an hour. Thank you.